If you know anything about me, then you'd know that I've been claiming that Persona 5's coming to the Nintendo Switch for quite some time now, but even though the 3DS got Persona Qs 1 and 2, the Switch got Persona 5 Scramble, Steam got Persona 4 Golden, and Smash Ultimate even got friggin' Joker, along with Mii Fighter costumes for characters from Personas 3 and 4, the Nintendo Switch still doesn't have any version of Persona 5 whatsoever, which has led to a lot of people giving up on the idea altogether, and even calling me a stupid fucking bitch-ass ninny for bringing the idea up in the first place. But even though the prophecy still hasn't been fulfilled at the time of this recording, I'm gonna stand firm in my belief in that the game's still coming in Nintendo's hybrid child, so the real question at hand is just why the frig is it taking so long? Well, sit back in your Uncle Louie's futon, press the subscribe button if you like games, goofs, and glory, and allow me, Circuit City's top-paid stuntman, Cameron All One Word, to tell you why Persona 5 Royal's taken so long to break free from Sony and come to the Nintendo Switch. And, you know, Steam and Xbox too, I guess. Alright, so given that I've already talked about this before a few times in the past, I already know that some people are going to be mad at me for talking about the idea of Persona coming to the Nintendo Switch, but unless you work for or have stake in Sony, I can't even begin to fathom why anyone wouldn't want Persona to go multiplat, but that's a topic for an entirely different video that I'll probably make soon. But my reasons for wanting Persona games on the Switch has got nothing to do with me wanting to play them, seeing as I already own every game in the series, but since I love them so much, I just want other people to have the chance to play them themselves, partially because I'd be happy for them, sure, but mainly because I'd like to see the series grow a little bit more. As far as why Persona 5 Royal's not on the Nintendo Switch just yet, though, I don't really see any reason why it would be. I mean, after all, the original Persona 5 only came out in 2016, which isn't really all that long ago if you think about it, and sure, Persona 5 Royal coming to the PS4 after Joker joined the Smash Ultimate roster did lead to a lot of people just giving up on the game coming to the Switch altogether. However, one thing that I think people need to take into consideration is that Persona 5 Royal was probably already in the works for the PS4 long before Joker joining Smash was ever even talked about, so it wouldn't really make all that much sense, nor would it be practical for Atlus to rush the game out onto the Switch just because Joker was hanging out with all the Smash boys. I mean, after all, just look at how long it takes for all the other AAA multiplats to come to the Switch. Granted, the original Persona 5 was made for the PS3, and Royal doesn't even look any better on the PS4, but still though, I'm sure it'd take a little more than copy and pasting to get it running on the Switch due to all the little things like changing the button layouts during the battles. And since Persona 5 Royal just came out in 2019 and 2020 outside of Japan, don't you think that bringing the game to the Nintendo Switch in the same year, or even in 2021, would be a little bit soon? I mean, Persona 5 Royal's literally my all-time favorite game, and even I don't want to buy it again anytime soon, even for a portable version, and I'd imagine that there's probably a lot of people who feel the exact same way I do. Some people might think that since Operation Rainfall led to Xenoblade Chronicles Last Story and Pandora's Tower all getting English releases on the Wii within 2 years means that Persona 5 should have probably taken about the same amount of time to come to the Switch after fans really started asking for it in 2018. But localizing games isn't the same thing as doing a full port, especially when we're talking about Atlus. It usually takes forever to do just about anything, which is why they usually support consoles later in their life cycles, and I'm not even factoring the global pandemic into the equation either. A better example to compare Persona to would be to look at Operation Moonfall that started back in 2011, which was basically just fans rallying to get Majora's Mask on the 3DS just like Ocarina of Time, and even that didn't come out till 2014, 3 years later, not because it took that long to figure out how to port the game over, but rather because it just wasn't practical for Nintendo to just drop what they were doing just to rush the game out as soon as possible, since after all, they had other 3DS games they were working on, just like how Atlus has other Switch games they're more concerned with than Persona 5 at the moment. And even when fans are begging for Majora's Mask 3D, Nintendo never confirmed that it was coming out till very shortly before the game was actually released. In fact, whenever Nintendo commented on it, they usually made it seem like it was unlikely or never gonna happen. And if you ask me, I think this is actually pretty smart to do, because it only makes fans want it that much more, and when the confirmation finally comes, the buzz is so much higher than it would have been if fans were told it was coming long in advance. In the first few months after the announcement's the perfect time to actually sell the game, so if you ask me, I think it's pretty obvious why Atlus won't just straight up confirm that Persona 5's coming to the Switch till it's ready to rip. But I will say that they'd have to be absolute morons to ask fans if they want to see Persona on the Switch through their fan surveys, and for telling fans not to give up hope if it's not in the pipelines for an inevitable release. I mean, when Persona 4 Golden was announced for Steam, we didn't have to wait like 2 years. It was just up shortly after the announcement. And even if Atlus really never did have any plans to bring Persona to the Switch, the high sales of Persona 4 Golden on Steam somehow surprising Atlus would surely be enough to make them reconsider, seeing as how I'd like to believe that they love money. And since Persona 4 and even 1 already broke free from Sony, along with the fact that there's already Persona games on Nintendo consoles, it's not like the series has any Sony loyalty left to break anyway. I mean, you never see Mario spin-offs like Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker appear on PlayStation or Xbox, because unlike Personas with Sony, that franchise is actually exclusive to Nintendo, and besides, Persona's a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei anyway, which is all over Nintendo consoles, so there's literally no reason to be the last third-party developer to have an IP exclusive to one console. Some people might think that since Catherine Full Body and Persona 5 Scramble had mediocre sales on the Switch, that Atlus would probably be less likely to bring the main series over, but I'd actually argue that that's all the more reason to do it, because of course Switch owners, aside from myself and like 4 other people, aren't going to be interested in the 15th version of Catherine, nor are they going to be interested in a sequel/spin-off to a game they never even got to play in the first place. The only Switch owners Scramble appeals to are people who already own a PS4, so if Atlus is going to try and capitalize on the curiosity for Persona that was caused by Joker joining the Smash roster, then they're going to have to bring a core game over first before they try pushing the spin-offs onto people. And if Persona 5 Royal's too risky, then why not bring Persona 4 Golden over first? After all, the game's a hell of a lot less graphically demanding, so I'm sure it'd be a lot easier to port, which makes it far less of a financial risk should the game fail. But if it were successful, which I'm sure it would be, then Atlus would not only make an assload of money off the initial sales, but they'd also increase the size of the fanbase for feature games like Persona 5 Royal on the Switch, along with all the spin-offs like the dancing games, and hell, even Persona 6 if it were a PS5 exclusive. So you know what, even Sony should want the older Persona games to appear on other consoles, just like Nintendo should want the Shin Megami Tensei 3 remaster on PlayStation to build hype for the 5th game on the Switch. But even if Persona 4 does come to the Switch though, which I actually think is going to happen before 5, and it still makes sense to let Shin Megami Tensei get the spotlight in the meantime. But another purpose of the 4th game would serve outside of a test run to see how well the core series does on the Switch though, would be to buy a little bit more time for the heavily rumored, and in my opinion, highly likely Switch Pro that'd make a Persona 5 port a hell of a lot easier. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure the Persona 5 would run just fine on the base Switch, but when there's other Switch games for Atlus to work on first, there's no real reason to rush the 3rd version of the 5th game out so shortly after its 2nd release, and you might as well try and push it back till the upgraded hardware comes out to make the port cheaper and easier to do, as well as remain somewhat loyal to Sony for a little while longer, as if Atlus were ever even concerned with that in the first place, which they're not, by the way. All I know is that the Persona series has always had a presence on handhelds, and currently the Switch is the only one left in the world outside of mobile devices, which of course don't count. And since even Sony can only benefit from Nintendo getting Persona games that are old news on PlayStation consoles, and I just don't see any reason why it's never gonna happen. And even though it might feel like fans have been wanting Persona games on Nintendo platforms forever, it really hasn't been all that long when you consider how long these things usually take. So in the meantime, let's just be patient, enjoy Shin Megami Tensei, keep checking the boxes off that say you want to see Persona games on the Switch in Atlus's little surveys, and just let them keep building hype by not confirming the games while also telling us to keep asking for them. Because again, Atlus would have to be complete dumbasses and not shut the rumors down a long time ago if they never considered making them come true in the first place. But anyway, that's all for now though. If you enjoyed this video, then you might like my video talking about why Atlus snubbed Persona 3 on Steam, but if you'll excuse me, I gotta go wash my hands. See you later, Crocodile.
So I want to say thank you to your loyalty, thank you for your support.